morning, everyone.
Good morning.
My name is Brittany Skinner, and I'm going to be presenting to you my detailed lesson plan on my unit of the weather. If you open up your note folder, the first item you shall see is the agenda. And for now, I'm introducing this. I am your host, Brittany Skinner, and I'm going to review with you the lesson. I put this in the wrong order in the folder, so if you take your agenda out, you'll see the evaluation next. And after the evaluation, you'll see my lesson. So if you could all just take out the lesson. For my lesson, my standards that I used were the Next Generation Science Standards for weather, to collect data to provide evidence for how motion and complex interactions of air masses result in changes in weather. And I used a ruling standard using diverse forms for information gain, illustration of words, and current visual text. So today, my lesson is on mapping weather. The students will be able to demonstrate their understanding of weather data collection by reading Map the Weather along with other selective texts. The selective texts are on the very last page of the lesson plan. And by completing the Weather Tools worksheet as well as a weather map of America. And today, we are going to create a weather map of America. But first, you see my materials. The formative assessment will be after the students create their weather map. And the motivation we will do together. So, ladies and gentlemen, I pose this question to you. Why do you think it is important for us to watch the weather? Or why do we watch weather? Jenna?
To be able to prepare for a storm.
Prepare for a storm. Nice.
To see how we're going to dress for that day.
How we're going to dress. Yes. Anyone else?
Prepare for travel.
That's good.
I'm not an overachiever. Okay.
Not a mark.
Anyone else with us? No. These are all wonderful responses. Yes, we do watch weather so that we can learn how to dress. You know, if it's going to be 25 degrees outside, you might not want to walk out in your tank top and shorts. We want to prepare for storms. If you know a tornado is coming, if you live in an area that tornadoes frequent, you want to know when and where you should be at what time. And you don't want to travel to North Dakota when you know a snowstorm is coming. So, with that, we shall move on to, that will be my motivation for my students. After the motivation, if you look on my procedures, the back page of for everyone other than Professor Ellerby, it will be the back page of the first page of the lesson plan. Really, it is a science lesson plan, but it's making a cross-curricular connection because I'm doing an interactive read aloud along with some guided reading later in small groups. The whole group interactive read aloud would be of this magazine called Reading Safari Magazine. I have some I can pass around if you'd like to take a look. We will be reading the Map the Weather. I'll pass this. We, as a class, will be reading the Map the Weather section of the magazine. It starts on page 12 and it ends on page 17. This will be my guided reading, my interactive read aloud that I read with my students. We will first turn to the page 12 and I would ask them to read the title, let me know what they think it's going to be about, move on from there, let all of them read consecutively. In my lesson plan, you'll see that I have stopping points where I would stop my students so that we can talk about what we've read thus far, give them questions to get them thinking about what they're reading. Next, we will move on to the we do, where we would complete our, after reading, if you have a text, after reading, I'm sorry, it's not this text, but after reading, there's a worksheet to complete. It's on weather tools. The reading talks about weather tools, so after reading, you would get the worksheet about weather tools. And after we, as a class, have completed that, we will move on to our individual activities, EUDs, where my basic students will read a story called The Snowy Days, where they talk about, where it's a book that talks about having a snow day. My proficient students would read a book about hurricanes, and my advanced students would read a National Geographic book about all things weather related. After this, we will break off, in our groups, we will go to research about areas in America that have frequent snowstorms, areas that have heavy rains, and my advanced students would research where the regions of America that are always sunny. Well, majority of the time sunny. And that's where my activity comes in. So everyone, if you see, the last page should be a map of our wonderful USA. I have already hand-selected groups, so this is going to be a time where everyone's going to have to get up. So my East Coast group consists of Professor Ellery, Lauren, Sherelle, Ina, and Miss Shirley. You all, no one moved yet, but my East Coast will move to the right side of the class. Not yet. My West Coast individuals will consist of Tanya. There's less people in here now. So Tanya and Miss Paulette and Edith. You all will be my West Coast. So you'll be on the left side of the room. And Jenna, James, Mark, and Brian will be in the middle. You're going to be my Midwest section of the map. What we're going to do is we're going to map the weather. So my East Coast people, you let me know what types of weather the East Coast receives. You can do so through pictures or coloring. You have to make a key on the back. So if you color certain states a certain color, let me know why. Same thing for East, West Coast, and Midwest. So now that you know what you're supposed to do, you have to please raise up, move into your section, and you all have, how amount of time?
No. Just do less time. You got about 10 minutes.
Okay, you all have about 3 minutes to do something. I know you won't get it all done. Normally you probably get this to just 5 or 10 minutes.
I got so much stuff. I don't know where I
I have mine. And your time starts now.
I'm thinking that all of this can get really old.
Yeah, because you think about their Sherling coats that you wear and stuff, yeah. Rain. We got green.
Keep up the good work.
We're trying to do our people for you. Red. But like,
Not to interrupt, I know you only have a few minutes,
all 4 seasons.
but normally you probably have your students, they have like, the whole point would be research
I can help me and make it look like the point.
Yeah. Right.
Hey, I think so, right? So no earthquake, right?
Well, we did have an earthquake.
It's not really
One minute warning.
Oh, well,
Okay.
there's no like.
30-second warning.
Wait, you got these So that's
okay. 15 seconds. Okay, we should all be coming to a close. And time is up. So let's all wrap up. Let's wrap up, and we are going to present out to the group. We're going to start on the East Coast and work our way west.
camera going off for your
Time.
That's her time.
We'll work from the East Coast. Time?
Last time we left.
Okay, so in the East Coast, we have snow.
Do I have everyone's attention? Tanya.
We have snow tornadoes, ice storms, hurricanes, floods, and rain, tropical storms, heat waves, and the 4 seasons. I mean, we have a look at these colors.
Nice.
And visual picture.
Wonderful. Good job. Everyone clap up for the East Coast. All right, my Midwest.
So, we have Tornado Alley.
Okay.
Oh, that is really cute. Hurricanes is the blue thing. And the heat is the black, so like the heat's coming out. And then the dots is the rain.
Awesome, wonderful. Excited about this. All right, my west side, west coast.
Okay, there's several different weather patterns going on the west coast.
Yes.
So for the top, starting at Washington, we have rainy and cold. Okay, for Oregon, we have the same. For northern part of California, we have rainy and cold sometimes depending on the season.
Yeah.
For the bottom part, we have earthquakes of California. For Nevada, Arizona, and New Mexico, we have dry and hot. And for Utah, Colorado, Wyoming, Montana, and Idaho, we have cold.
Okay, wonderful. Let's get the west coast. Okay, so as you can see, if you were actually to do this with your second graders, we would have time to sit and have them research about their region before, so they can actually collect the data themselves and then interpret the data, put it onto their weather map. And originally I wanted to have it so that it would be sectioned off, so it would be one big poster for East Coast, West, Midwest, and then we can put them together and have that type of paper. So after we do this activity, we would close. If you go back to the lesson plan, we would close with a discussion on why knowing what the weather is important, and then we would read our objective once more to ensure that our learning goal was met. For homework, I would ask my students to draw a picture and write a description of the weather forecast for the week, just to ensure that they are keeping track with the weather. And again, on the back, you see the books that my basic, proficient, and advanced students will be reading. So now we move on to the evaluation. I didn't do a number system, so please, valuable feedback is what I need. And if there are no more questions, comments, or concerns, that concludes my presentation.
Whoever sat here, I don't have my packet anymore. Oh, can I take my packet? My packet? Okay, thank you. Where my evaluation?
If you're holding the book and if you want it, you can keep it. If you don't want it, you can pass it back. Yes.
You want it?